Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
There was a woman who was driving down the road with her 6-year-old daughter in the car, and they were on a trip. They were driving for 4 hours to go see family. And during this trip, this woman was getting frustrated. Frustrated with the traffic. People speeding up, whipping in front of her, cutting her off, tailgating, not using their turn signals. Man. And then one, there's always that one that gets in front of you and they drive so slow. It's frustrating. And so she's getting angry. You ever have that happen? Anybody have those things happen to you at all? Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? I've had that happen. And so after a while, she begins to lose her patience. And she begins to vocally tell her daughter what she thinks of these drivers. They're rude. They're ignorant. They're just big jerks. They're stupid. She calms down after a while, and her daughter, with all the innocence of sin, have you ever been behind the wheel and acted stupid? I have. Recently. I'm going to share it with you. I always say if there's one thing you're going to know about me is I'm going to be as transparent as possible. Never going to fudge and try to make you think I'm somebody that I'm not or someone greater than I am. I'm flawed the same as you. And this was just weeks ago. I had this incident. It was a Wednesday evening. Shannon was working. My kids, Alex and Savannah, at that time, they were already over at Randy and Lenore's house. So they were already here, just around the corner. So I left from home, heading in here for Bible study, and I always leave early because I like to be here at least an hour before because I like to take that time to pray and to really prepare. And so I left even earlier because I had things I had to do along the way. I needed my Mountain Dew, for one. So I left, and it's probably not the right time to leave. It was rush hour traffic, 5:15-ish, somewhere in there. And I decided, well, I'm certainly not going to go straight down Broad Street. And I wasn't going to take the expressway, and so I thought, well, I'll just take some of these back streets and I'll make it. I'll be fine. I got behind somebody that was driving painfully slow. I mean, it was an RV moment. You see the movie RV? It was like, great, doing a whole 8 miles per hour. I mean, that's exactly how it felt, right? And there's only 2 lanes, and this lane, of course, is full. People are flying past me. Now also, I was, like I said, Shannon was working, and so I was driving the church van. And so you can't just step out in a 15-passenger van. It just doesn't work. It's more like... It's more like that. You slowly move over as it's shuddering. Okay, it's not that bad. But it kind of feels that bad. And so I couldn't just speed up and get in front of this guy. So it was driving me crazy. And I had all these thoughts running through my head. You know the ones. It's on the right. Or hey, the pedal's on the right. I always say it's on the left because that way they'll move over. Your turn's on the left, so they try to get out of your way. All these things going through my head. I'm getting frustrated because I want to get here. And I'm aggravated. And I'm just starting to... I didn't say anything. It'd be just kind of weird all by myself. Hey, stupid jerk! So, plus I'm driving a van, that says United Christian Church. You don't want to be like, oh, hey, buddy! So, I'm trying my best to keep it under control. But I'm thinking thoughts. I'm thinking, man, this guy is just... He's rubbing me the wrong way. Man, he just needs to get off the road. Just park. Seriously, if you parked, I'd be driving faster than I am right now. And so, he finally does turn. And he pulls into the hospital. And I instantly started thinking, what a jerk I was. There may be a very serious reason why he's driving slow, heading to the hospital. I thought, man, what a jerk I was. Thinking what I was thinking. No, I didn't blast him. I didn't scream anything. I didn't even say anything out loud in the van. But in my frustration, I was thinking, man, this guy is just, my agenda is right here, and he's totally in front of that, and he's throwing off my groove. And I thought, man, I was just being stupid. Now in the text today that I want to share with you, we're going to be looking at Luke chapter 10 and verses 38 through 42. We're going to meet a woman who was acting stupid. Her name is Martha. Now, she didn't start out being stupid, acting stupid, I should say. She didn't even start out acting foolish. Everything was very well intentioned. Martha knew that Jesus was headed her way, near her village, and so she invites Jesus and his disciples to come back to her house and to rest, just to relax, kick back, watch the football game. Okay, maybe not, but to come in and just to spend time there. And while that was wonderful, Martha decided to prepare some food. Now, you got to think about this. She couldn't just go to Kroger or head over to Walmart and pick up some food. Nothing that was pre-prepared, anything like that. Anything she made was made from scratch, had to be prepared 100%. And so, and it's not to say that she didn't enjoy that. She was very happy to do that because Jesus is a very honored guest, and she's overjoyed to have him in her house. And so while she prepared the meal, Jesus was over in the next room, and he began to teach. And Mary was there. That's Martha's sister. Now Mary loves Jesus so much. This is the woman that we read about who poured 1 pound of expensive perfume on his feet, and then she rubbed it off with her hair. She literally worships him. That's her hero. And he's right here in her house. It couldn't be better than this. And so she forgets about everything. Her focus is on Christ. She forgets all about Martha. She forgets all about preparing the meal. She forgets all about setting the table. And she sits down at Jesus' feet to listen to him. Now Martha doesn't share Mary's enthusiasm. And don't get me wrong, she loves Jesus. And it's not that she didn't want to hear what he had to say or didn't enjoy listening to what Jesus had to say. It's just that Martha was upset because there's work to be done, and doggone it, Mary ain't doing it. And so slowly, Martha gets upset. And I can kind of see it, I can kind of picture it in my mind. So try to picture it with me this morning if you can. Try to imagine Martha is in this kitchen. All right? And she's alone. And she's preparing this meal. Okay, and you can kind of sense how things would go, right? She might make some noise, a little bit in the kitchen, and just, it's like a kind of a thing. Mary's not getting the hint. Maybe she goes over and puts a pot down on the table, aggressively. Again, she's not getting the hint. Maybe, I can see it. I can see him. Jesus is in the next room. Now, it's not like she couldn't hear him, right? But still, she's aggravated. And I can see her, walking to this side of the kitchen to grab something. As she passes the opening, she looks in, and there's this crowd, right? She's just staring right at Mary. Well, we tell you something. You get this thing over here. Do this maybe. Oh, man, I'm looking at you. We're back over here. Slam, put that back down again, and aggravated. Maybe, that's right, it's you right there. Maybe she goes over to the stew, she's stirring it. Maybe it's like, stir this stew. I'm telling you, it's the best stew you ever had. And she's smacking the handle, making all kinds of noise. Maybe it's slopping all over. She wipes it up. Oh, she burns her hand. She's about to turn green and really get huge. She's just aggravated, frustrated to no end. She's had all she can take. She can't stand anymore. And she stomps over to Jesus and she says, Lord, don't you care that I'm doing all this work, that Mary has left me to do all this work by myself? Tell her to help me. There's so much wrong with that. There's so many things. I almost don't even know where to start. She's angry. She's causing a scene. I mean, she's really having a meltdown. She's causing a scene, having a hissy fit in front of her guests. She forgot who's there. She forgot that Jesus is there. And she's so concerned, so wrapped up with her agenda, and she treats Jesus as a servant. She says, tell her to help me. Oh, boy. Now, Jesus, at this point, is faced with an angry woman. Guys, you know, Mom ain't happy, nobody's happy.
Amen.
Amen. There you go. But I love how Jesus deals with her. It's not harsh. He doesn't blast her. It's very gentle. In fact, he says her name 2 times. Now, culturally, in the first century, when you would say something twice, it was an attention game. It was like us saying, hey, listen up. And then you start. It was similar to, remember the 80s, right? Well, my broker's E.F. Hutton. E.F. Hutton says, and everybody stops and listens. It was kind of like that. It was the equivalent. And he said, Martha, Martha. I love that. He says it twice. He's gentle. It's done with love. It's done with concern. He says, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Now some believe that this text is trying to point out the fact that what Martha was doing was bad, and that she shouldn't have been in the kitchen at all preparing a meal. She should have been right there listening to Jesus. No exceptions, no excuses. But that's not what we get. If we really take a close look at that, Jesus, he didn't scold her. He didn't fuss at her at all. He didn't question her service. He didn't question her love. None of that. He didn't rebuke her for not being in there, listening to her. In fact, the very next time we read about Martha, she's doing the same thing. In John chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, it says, 6 days before the Passover, Jesus arrived at Bethany. Here, a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. And guess what it says about Martha? It says, Martha served. That's what she does. Now, you can't get my wife in the kitchen. You can't get Martha out of the kitchen. It's who she is. It's who she was. I imagine if she took a spiritual gifts analysis, hospitality would be at the top. That's what she was all about. Why do you think Jesus went there so much to eat? It's good food. He knows. He's no dummy. Man. But Martha wasn't listening to Jesus. Again, it's not like the house was so big that she couldn't hear him. He's in the next room. Jesus spoke to thousands of people at one time. I'm certain he could speak loud enough for her to hear. But she wasn't listening to Jesus. Why not? Well, Luke 10:40 tells us exactly why. It says, Martha was distracted. Well, what was it? What was distracting Martha? It was Mary. It was Mary. That's what was distracting her. Mary's not doing what Martha thinks she should be doing. She's just sitting there doing nothing. Now, is Mary a lazy girl then? Can we conclude? No. Honestly, no. I really believe if there were some laziness there, Jesus would have rebuked her or corrected her of some sort and said, go and help your sister. But he didn't do that. She's not lazy. I'm sure she did her fair share of work all the time. But now Jesus is in her home, and her sole purpose and focus is just to sit at his feet and to listen to every word that he has to say. So the problem really isn't Mary. The problem is Martha. And as I read through this week, now I have to be honest with you, as I prepare for messages, I go back to my old standard, what I was taught in Bible college, and that is you take the verse that you're going to use or the passage that you're going to use, and you read it, and you read it, and you read it, and then you repeat. And so you read it over and over. And so I can easily read through this passage 15 or 20 times this week or more sometimes. And I'll use different translations. Sometimes I'll use the NIV, and then I'll read something from the Message Bible, because I wouldn't tell you to read it only, but the Message Bible is a paraphrase Bible. It's written by one guy. So that right there tells you that you don't want to use it as a sole source. But it's good to use for comparison. And it's written in our language. And so I'll read it in different versions. I'll really try to chew on it the best I can so I can share with you the most I possibly can from that text. And as I was reading through it this week, I was a little bit confused. I stopped and I thought, wait a second. Isn't Martha doing what we're supposed to do? She's serving. She's ministering. She's even giving sacrificially. She could be sitting in there listening to Jesus. But she's working. She's sacrificing that time. She's doing what we're supposed to do. How is that wrong? And then I quickly realized she's doing wonderful things. She's serving. She's ministering. She's doing what we're supposed to be doing, yes. But she's doing something wrong. And I know she's doing something wrong because she got mad. You see, James 1, verse 20 tells us that a man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. And so she was doing something wrong. Now I want to share a secret with you, and I want to make sure you all get it. So, just all you have to do is say, tell me the secret.
Tell me the secret.
Okay, let's try it again.
Tell me the secret.
All right, make me believe it this time.
Tell me the secret.
All right, thank you. All right, I want to share a secret with you. You may not want to hear it, but that's okay. If you have a problem, that is, if you're angry with someone, they're not the problem. You are. Let me say it again, just in case I can get everybody upset. If you're angry with someone, they are not the problem. You are. Think about that for a second. If you're mad at somebody, you're the one with the problem. They might not even know you're mad at them. And we typically blast somebody like that, don't we? But I want you to take notice of how Jesus dealt with that. Jesus was very gentle. Martha, Martha. And he's basically saying, look, you're doing some wonderful things. You're doing okay. But honestly, you're missing the whole point. You're missing it. He's being gentle. He's not totally destroying what she's doing. He's not tearing her down. He's not rebuking her. Now, you can always tell when somebody is having a Martha moment. You can. They could be in the midst of serving, in the midst of what they think and what you even think is a wonderful ministry, and they get mad. They get upset. They don't feel appreciated. They don't agree with a certain decision, maybe. Maybe they believe the church is doing everything wrong. So they get mad. They throw a little hissy fit. They blast it all over Facebook. They call people they know. They talk about it in the hallways. They discuss it at home. Then they stop showing up. Because they're mad. Because they're having a Martha moment. In the midst of ministry and serving Christ, they're back here. And their focus and their agenda is not on Jesus, who's right in front of them. Their focus is on what they want. It's on their agenda, and they're not getting what they want. They're not happy. They're not feeling like they're being served, and so they get upset. Now, Martha moments, that is, believing that the church is all about us and not about Jesus, happen to the best of us. They really do. So I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm just trying to help you to take notice that the church is not about you. It's not. It's not about me. It's not your church. Doesn't matter if you have a plaque on the wall or you dedicated the bricks to whatever. It's not your church. It doesn't matter. It's not mine. It's the Lord's church. And the sooner we grasp that, the better we'll be. Because we'll stop living for ourselves. We'll stop living for our comfort. We'll stop living for our happiness. And we'll be out there. And we'll be bringing people in. We'll be pointing them to Christ. You know, I had one of those moments yesterday. It's almost as if I paused, working through the sermon, and I paused and I had to take some time to just pray. It's just things weighing on my heart. And I could almost hear the words echoed in the text with Jesus saying, Ray, you're so anxious about so many things, and only one thing is important. Glorify me in all you do. We all have Martha moments. We all have moments where we're focusing on our agenda and we miss the whole purpose of why we're serving, why we're ministering. We need to be like Mary. Drop everything. Our focus is on Christ only, 100%, and everything else is forgotten. We don't even think about it because we're so concerned with that moment, being in the presence of Christ, sitting at His feet, and listening to Him. That's what it means to listen to Jesus. Let's pray.